Ooh, here. Hi, everyone. I'm going to get this right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unleashed with Scarlett Johnson, presented by Moms for Liberty. And today I am excited to introduce my guest, Kira Davis. And Kira, I recognize, I was on X and I saw your video and I was like, yes, yes, yes. I loved what you had to say. And then I started to look into your whole body of work and I immediately sent you a message and said, you have to come on my show. I have to talk to you. I just loved what you had to say. And today we're just going to talk and I'm going to learn more about you. You have a ton more experience than I do doing this. You've been doing this for 15 years. So I just want to talk and look over some of the things you've done. I'm a big admirer. And so thank you for being on my show.
Well, thank you, Scarlett. It is a pleasure to be here. Yes, you're right. I have about 15 years in the business. I got into this business because I'm a mom and I was raising my kids at home and needed sort of another outlet for myself to, just have a place to put my thoughts and my feelings. And I was always interested in politics. So I started blogging back in the day. And those were the early days of conservative media when Andrew Breitbart was still alive and Breitbart media was just getting up and running. Back then it was called the big sites, big government, big Hollywood. And forged a career that way. And it's been a great career. It's allowed me to stay home and raise my kids, but also stay connected to the larger world and have an adventure. And this job has brought me many adventures, good and bad, over the years.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2 children. I have a 23-year-old son who just graduated college, and I have an 18-year-old daughter who just started college. And as a matter of fact, behind me, you can see my book. It's called Drawing Lines, Why Conservatives Must Begin to Battle Fiercely in the Arena of Ideas. I wrote that book in 2022 when I was running for school board for our school district. And I got into that because I'm a mom and I took one of Moms for Liberty's school board training courses.
Oh, wow.
And learned how to run. I lost. I don't know if this is a ringing endorsement for Moms for Liberty.
I went to school board and lost too. So we're in the same.
We're in a good club. At least we did it. I learned a lot. And so I included some of that in my book. So it's very fitting for me to be here. And it's a pleasure.
Wow, it's so interesting how the origin stories. I ran for school board and I lost. I ran twice and I lost twice, so I have you beat. And I was successful I was part of an effort to recall 4 school board members, and the teachers unions didn't notice us at first, and so we were able to go under the radar and really get to folks who were upset about what was happening to our kids during COVID. And so we were successful until we won the recall. And then once we were on the radar, they poured in resources and money like I've never seen before.
Yeah.
You live in California, so you know.
No, it's a strategy. It's actually a union strategy. It's actually nationwide. It is something that they have formulated. It's an official strategy. So in 2022, when I was running, you may remember that was the heat of COVID during the dark times. And there was a huge parent movement at that time to knock over some of these school boards. Many people were successful, including the neighboring district over, Orange School District. I live here in Southern California. The city of Orange, their school district, the conservative parents ran and won. They took the board over and the unions immediately launched a recall. And they were successful. Now, I will say this, those parents marched in there and immediately it began turning over tables and chairs. So they got as much done as they could in the time they had because they knew that was going to happen. And it certainly did happen. I think it's a lesson for all of us that winning isn't the end, winning or losing, but especially if you win, that's not the end. Then you have to be effective and you kind of have to go in with the strategy of I'm just going to go and knock down as many walls as I can until I get sent home.
That's exactly right. winning isn't the end. You can win and think, oh wow, you've got the wind in your back, like this is great, and then you suddenly the reality sets in and you can lose, and that's not the end. For me, for you, it was just the beginning. That I wouldn't be here now had I won. And there were so many other victories over the last 4 years and things that I was able to do because I learned a lot by running and I utilized those skills. I didn't give up, and I just used them in a different way and went behind the scenes and helped other people to win in various races, all the way up to a surrogate for the Trump campaigns in Wisconsin. So now what you ran for, you already had this career, like that you were on the radio, you had podcasts, you had developed, honed a lot of these skills. In 2022, what propelled you to say, I'm going to run for school board?
The schools were closed and I wanted them to be open. And my son was a 2020 graduate in high school and he didn't get that year. And then he didn't get his freshman year of college because they kept the schools closed. And then I had a daughter who was just entering high school at the time. And then added to that was all of the trans and DEI ideology that was infecting our schools. That's something I've actually been fighting here in California since 2013. A lot of people don't know that it was 2013 when we got these transgender and LGBTQ curriculums shoved into the public school system. And the lessons were shocking and egregious. And back then I was in media then, and I did the whole media tour. I went on every show that would take me. We did every radio show, but we couldn't get traction on it because no one believed it. It was so crazy. You know, the idea of teaching kindergartens masturbation or teaching lessons about gay social media apps, people couldn't believe it. So we just sounded crazy. And we lost that battle, but it took about 7 or 8 years for that to trickle into the general curriculum and then into the mind of the general population. So I've been fighting this battle for a very long time. I honestly thought we had lost it and that was that. This is another reason why you should never give up. But now the pendulum has swung, had a full swing, and we're seeing people now be totally aware of this. People are starting to notice it's in their classrooms, and that's all thanks to COVID. And so that reignited this new passion and this new wave of concern. And so I thought my school board representative resigned, she snuck away in the middle of the night, voted to keep the schools closed, and then resigned unceremoniously. And I immediately said, okay, I'm running.
Wow.
And so I just thought, I can't count on the school board to do the things that need to be done for our kids. And the only way I can count on them is to make sure that the people on that school board think like me. And the only person I can guarantee who thinks like me is me. So I decided to run. But being in media, I already was pretty much on the radar for everyone in my community. And the unions wasted no time. And they launched an exhaustive campaign against me. They were ultimately successful and I lost, but they definitely didn't want me on the school board.
No, my gosh, it really resonates with me because that's what I was thinking. We kept trying to find more people to run. At the end of the day, I thought, you know what? I don't know if there's anyone I can trust more than myself. Like, I know that I will go in and I will look at that curriculum, and what I saw were there were a lot of moderate males, because we have a 7-person member school board, and the men I think were more moderate to conservative, but the females were so strong that they eventually, it felt like they were caving to these women. So I thought, well, if I get on there as a conservative woman, then I won't be like they won't be able to, shame me or sort of, I'll really be able to get things done. And I'm Puerto Rican too. So I thought, well, they can't play any of those. They can't play the race card. They're not going to be able to play the gender card. So I can really get some things done. And once they hear my common sense ideas, they're going to be so excited. I'm going to work so hard and don't get paid at the job at all, but I'm willing to give it all. I had 5 kids. And they were all, my son was in college, but all 4 of my girls were, it was elementary, middle, high school. They were all in school at some. So I had like a real dog in the fight, and I was running against people that didn't even have kids that were in school, they are school aged. And I thought people are going to see that, but, just what you said, I had already been vocal for a while about COVID. I was kind of I was kind of a face of this recall movement. So they had a lot of ammunition to attack me with. And I just didn't understand yet how powerful
Mhm.
the left was. I really was like a little baby. I had all of these like ideas, and I just didn't realize that, even though, did you feel this way? Did you look around and think, where are they campaigning? Like, I'm everywhere. We're having rallies and everyone's so excited, but the
Mhm.
other side, we're like in hiding. And
No,
so,
we'll talk about learning. What you learn is that the teachers unions are running all of our elections and all of the public school system, because you're right. They don't have to. Matter of fact, the guy that won my seat, it wasn't even from here. They moved him in at the last second. He wasn't even from town. He's sort of a school board jumper. He had served in another town, 2 other districts previously. He's just a seat hopper. But they don't have to, you realize, because school board elections are turnout elections. You really have to depend on the community to know what's going on and to go out and vote. And school board teachers unions and Democrats have a built-in fail-safe in the fact that they have all their union voters. They don't have to go campaign. They have thousands and tens of thousands of union voters, and all they have to do is send around a ticket and say, this is who you're voting for. And that's enough people to beat the base turnout, the non-union turnout, time after time. We have the numbers base-wise, I think, in any given school board election, wherever you are, you could make it work. But generally speaking, the unions just have to pull the trigger of here's the name we want you to vote for. Most people aren't more curious than that. So we've got pockets of victory that have been great, and we're going to continue to win. That's happening across the US, and it's going to continue happening. But we're not going to wrestle the whole thing back until we break the teachers union, because as long as teachers unions are allowed to put their thumb on the scales of these elections, it's going to be increasingly difficult for conservative candidates to win. So no, they don't have to campaign. The campaign is built into their union dues.
yeah, that was a big lesson. We were on the local radio. New York Times came in and did interviews. We had AP following us around. I mean, I had my minivan packed with fold-out table. We, masking tape, our signs, like we had raised enough money to have some signs. We were so careful about them. They were so expensive. And the momentum came, and we had some more donations. We had signs up everywhere. It was like, we felt like we're going to win. We felt so sure. Like, look at all of this attention. Look, we had hundreds of people at rallies. It was just, and when the numbers came, and there were 4 of us running, and we got 41%, we were just like, we were really shocked. We just couldn't believe it. Like, we never saw any enthusiasm on the other side. Where did this all come from? How did this happen? And we just didn't have that understanding. Also, the Republicans did not come out to vote. Had every Republican that even had voted for Trump in 2020, even though he lost, if they had just come out to vote, we would have won easily, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
But we did not get the numbers out. That's what happened. And I think when you look at what just happened in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in Virginia, in New York, well, in New York, there was a lot, you could see there was a lot of passion, and it was predicted he was going to win. But there was a lot of hope for Chitterelli in New Jersey, because, and I know friends, many friends that were out there. They were doing so much work. They had Scott Pressler out, they had Jack Posobiec, they had TP USA, they had all of this momentum, and it felt like, yeah, we could actually do this. And the numbers came out probably similar to ours. They were like 41, 42% of the vote. And I think there was hope, but what wasn't understood is how powerful the unions are and that infrastructure that the Democrat Party has when they utilize it. And our side's not getting out to vote in these nonpartisan elections or these midterm or off-year elections like they should be.
Well, this has always been a challenge, but I think the nature of the challenge is becoming, unfortunately, more obvious in this current political era. We've been talking to the Republicans forever about being more active and getting out in midterms. The party and the voters. The party does, need to be a little bit more strategic about midterms. It's difficult because you have the national party and then you have the state parties and then you have local and county parties, and they're all different.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that. So it's hard for those people to work together. Regardless, whatever party you're talking about should have a midterm strategy. But this is one of the things I speak about. I travel up and down the state of California talking to, in particular, women's Republican clubs. And one of the things I tell them is, look, you should be adopting a school board. This club should have a school board that you officially consider in your family. And when there are elections, you are advocating for the conservative candidates. You are raising money for them. You are knocking on doors for them. You are their volunteer teams. You send people to the meetings. You make sure that people know what's going on in the school board. You make sure that when elections come around, the community is notified, because we have to start wrestling back the public education system, and basically we have to re-educate our patriots. Marxists have been educating our students for 70 years. Now we have to do it, but it means we've got to win the school boards, and then we've got to change the cultures, and we can't do that without great support, as you just pointed out. Yep. That, it's when you're talking about midterms and when you're talking about local elections like school board elections, that's turnout, that's name recognition, that's advertising. Your local Republican Party should be pouring a lot of money into advertising for their school board candidates. They really should, because it's not just the education of the future voters and patriots that is at stake, but it's also a whole bunch of contracts. It's also a whole bunch of money, also a whole bunch of influence in the community that belongs to whoever really holds power in the school board. So if Democrats and unions control your school board, it's all their people that get the contracts. It's all those people that have the power and influence in your community. It goes way further than just setting the math curriculum for your district.
Yeah, I mean, Moms for Liberty, that has been what we're all about. School board races, getting candidates, policy, all of that. And there's just the funding for these nonpartisan races is not great. It takes a lot of volunteers doing a lot of work. They don't get paid. There's just the donations. It's rough. So you talk about with the GOP. I mean, I know of cases where if a candidate's lucky, they could get $200 from a local GOP.
Yeah.
Because they're so cash strapped themselves, and they will. There are even some local GOP that won't endorse or give money if it's a nonpartisan race. So they're kind of out now. In our county, we changed that by getting involved in our local GOP and reviving and having leadership that will prioritize these races for all the reasons that you said, because they are important. And a lot of times, I mean, I think Republicans and Democrats, but in our state house, a lot of our current Democrat elected leaders, started in the school board. It's just a springboard. First school board.
That's right. It's grooming. It's grooming. Yeah, it's a breeding ground. You have to, that's where you train up your bench.
Yeah. And with us, I feel like that's where it stops. Like they run to school board and they're so battered and beaten down that they're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. There's just overall, there's some structural issues. Now, some even make the case, you know what, we have to work behind the scenes. and if there are areas where if we are vocal and out front, so we are going to do a lot of work behind the scenes, build relationships, try to work with anyone who will work with us on the school board, and not draw attention to it, because if they see that they're working with Scarlett Johnson, oh, all the crazies will come out protesting. But if it's more of a behind the scenes relationship, things can get done. And so what do you think about that strategy to work behind the scenes and do a lot of work, but maybe not be as vocal?
I don't think we're in the era for that. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would say, yeah, that's good. But they tried to kill President Trump. They tried to do everything they could to make sure that he didn't win in November, and they killed Charlie Kirk.
Yep.
We are not in the era of compromise. This is war, even on our school board. So I'm not in the mood for that strategy these days. And I don't think the people want that. I think people are starving for clarity. They want to know exactly what your intentions are. And as a matter of fact, when you do work out in front and what you do is you make your opponent come to the front too. See, they like it when you work behind the scenes, and then the whole world doesn't have to see how freaking crazy they are all the time. So when you make them, you got to make them work out front so everyone can see the things they say and the things they do. That's why they lull us into be like, let's just work behind the scenes where it's calmer back here and we don't get all the nasty letters. No, they should get the nasty letters from their base. Oh, I don't like you working with that conservative. They should get those nasty letters, right? And the conservative members should get those nasty letters. Like, we don't like what you're doing. We don't like that you're so vocal. That's how you know that you're advocating for the people who voted for you. I think there's not to.
So you don't love the super secret supporters, because I had a lot of those. Oh yeah, I'm supporting you. Very quiet. Those super secret. We're behind you. You can't see us, but we're there.
No, it's not time for that anymore. I understand that there was a time for it, and there was a time when you could make an argument for that. I guess not all of us are like that, but it, takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. Fair enough. We are no longer in that era. This is not a matter of, if we don't win this election cycle, then it's going to be a few more election cycles before we get our feet under us again. I truly believe if we don't win this next election cycle and the next few to come, that's the end of the American experiment. They were going to kill us. So no, you don't have the luxury of if you want to be in the background now, then I don't think you're part of the movement. I don't think you want to win. So
What do you think the Jay Jones win signifies? I mean,
it signifies that the left has completely lost their marbles, and this is where we are now. This is who we're up against. They don't care. They don't care about your life. They don't care. They don't care if someone's murderous, right? There's a part of the people that voted for Jay Jones. There's a part of them that feels like, well, he was kind of justified in saying what he said. Again, I think after Butler, Pennsylvania, where a man did lose his life,
yes,
over political violence, and after Charlie Kirk, and after all of the violence that we have seen, there's no more question what the intentions of these people are. So what that election has done, I think a great silver lining from it is that it has provided us a lot of clarity with who we're dealing with. Do you want to compromise with that? Is that who you want to work behind the scenes with? Yes. No, you got to call them out for who they are, and then you got to treat them like the people that they are. But if you're going to work behind the scenes to do, or support people behind the scenes, that's what Democrats do. Go be a Democrat then.
Well, and for context, Jay Jones didn't just say he fantasized about the death of his political opponent. He fantasized about the children dying in the arms of their mother, so that his opponent could finally understand the reality of
all think like that. That's the thing. They all think like that. I am a former liberal. For many years ago, 9/11 was my wake up moment. But I still have a lot of liberal friends. Most of my family is liberal. In fact, my mom broke up with our family over Trump. We no longer have a relationship with her because of Trump, or over Trump. It's not his fault. We don't know him. But they all think like that. That is the thing. And the ones that don't think like that are the ones that are peeling off. They're the ones that are going, whoa, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm either going to sit out the elections or I'm holding my nose and voting Republican because something's weird here. But there is that mindset that is like, yes, it's wrong to kill people, but if only these people knew the pain of gun violence or knew the pain of starvation or knew the pain of whatever, of prison, then they wouldn't be so bad. And so then it's okay to inflict this upon them because they need to learn their lesson. That's a very, very dangerous mindset. So I'm glad that Mom Donnie and the Jay Jones thing happened. I'm not happy that it is this way, but I am glad that the silver lining is that everybody gets to look at the other side and see what we're up against. Exactly what do you want to compromise with?
I think the only caveat I would say is I know people that they're Democrats, and I mentioned, like, look at what happened with Jay Jones, the AG candidate for Virginia. And they're like, who? Jay who? I'm not joking. They don't know. So
Yes.
Don't be surprised that when we say that I think Democrat leadership or like the diehards may think this way. A lot of people that just vote Democrat, they don't know who Jay Jones is, or they convince themselves that you're a bad person, you're a white supremacist, so I don't even have to listen to you. You're probably lying anyways. You're making all this up.
Well, this is my point. This is my point. Even though those people, first of all, you're absolutely right. That's the other thing we need to keep in mind is that, like, we think that social media is the end all be all of these discussions, and we do all our polling there. And most of the country isn't even thinking about these kinds of things. Another issue, right? It's turnout,
Yes.
especially for these smaller elections. But that's the other thing is your Democrat friends. I think I would, do they might not know who Jay Jones is, but do they think if a Republican politician, if Donald Trump had the chance to hold his dying kids in his arms while they bled out from a gunshot wound, do you think your friends would think that's horrific? Or would you think your friends would say, I think he maybe deserves that? See, this is what we need to think a little deeper about. After Charlie died, I tell you what, I realized just how many of my Democrat friends actually would be just fine with me or someone else dying. This is what you need to think about. Your friends might be nice and great. I mean, I'm sure they are nice and great because you are, and I'm not, this is obviously, I don't know them and I'm not painting everyone.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, people need to like step back and go, well, sure, maybe my friends didn't really know about all of the details of Jay Jones, but it isn't about what they know. It's about what they believe. And I bet if you ask them some direct questions, you'd get some pretty disturbing answers. I think we all need to come to terms with this.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes they can think it's all in this realm of theoretical, and the political violence, even after Charlie Kirk, I think Charlie Kirk did shake people up, but they still, because, he's Charlie Kirk or something, like they're still have not come to terms with the political violence on the left. Or maybe I'm just hopeful in thinking that they don't take it seriously. Even after all of this, they're not taking it seriously, that there's real political violence. Antifa is real. This isn't a GOP talking point. This is something very real. Just Andy Ngo didn't just make all of this up. You live in California, like very dangerous. I'm Moms for Liberty. I've been confronted with these folks a few times, once in Pennsylvania, and it's terrifying. Antifa is terrifying. It's the first time in my life that I felt these people would kill me in a second. They would rip me to shreds if not for the police officers. I felt the evil, like the hate around me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who might not take, stories about Antifa or stories about Andy Ngo seriously. Of course, they don't get it. There's a lot of people like, it's not that bad. But if it were that bad, would it be that bad? You know what I mean? That's what's going on the other side. Everyone needs to be honest. That's what underneath it all, and you should ask the direct questions. So,
Yeah.
I learned a lot about the people I called my friends after Charlie died. And I don't think someone is safe who really has that underlying feeling of, if there were, listen, ask yourself this about your, I don't want to use even the term Democrat.
You can just, like, and
you're progressive, you're
yeah.
you're like your progressive friends and family. But think about it. They might say, hey, I don't condone violence. I just don't like, hateful speech. But if you went to them tomorrow, you waved a magic wand and you said, you know what? For the next 24 hours, you can round up whoever you want and you can put them in a re-education camp, and they have to stay there until they learn the proper way to be an American and learn the proper way to vote, which would be voting Democrat or to the left.
Use the right pronouns.
Or die. If you could do that and there would be no consequences for you whatsoever, would you do that? Most people would say, yeah. Right? Wow. Like underneath a lot of them, if they knew that there would be no consequences for punishing us physically or otherwise, most people would say, yes, that's okay. This is what I need people to understand, that lurking under the surface of these political and policies discussions is a deep and evil and dark agenda that really would see most of us who advocate for liberty dead or in jail. I know it sounds hyperbolic. It might not be the right tone to be striking on a Moms for Liberty podcast, but that is exactly where I think we are. And I want everyone to know that this is a new position for me. I am just getting here. I have not been this person until the last year. Till the last year, you can go listen to all my stuff and you're going to hear me saying, let's persuade, let's be persuasive, let's be influential, let's get in on the culture. Where I got radicalized as Charlie, I just don't think there's no more time for compromise. I think we have to win or it's over.
Now, you mentioned that you saw this curriculum as early as 2012 and 13. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of friends that, like Kelly Shinesky, who has talked about this for a long time. She's in California. My friend Rebecca, who chairs of California chapters of Moms for Liberty. They do a lot of great work, but I think because in California, there can be thought of it can't be saved. What can you do? But there are a lot of moms and a lot of dads that are doing so much work despite all that. I just spent the weekend in Chicago at a conference with Sonia Shaw, who's fighting just the good
Sonia's
fight.
Talking to my ladies club next week here in
Southern California.
Really? She'll be the guest of honor.
Amazing, and she's such a fighter.
Can I plug that, by the way? If you're,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's a Southern California area Republican women, scarw.org, and go buy your tickets. Sonia Shaw's going to be our featured speaker. She is awesome.
She's amazing. And I'll put that in the comments. Send that to me. Text me that. I'll make sure I get that in the comments.
Great.
But you saw this much earlier. I wasn't aware of any of this until COVID. I had no idea. My friend James Lindsay had mentioned to me when he was coming to talk about critical race theory in Wisconsin in 2020 and 2021. I went out to lunch. That's where I really met him for the first time, and we started to become friends. We were with a group, and he said, well, actually, critical race theory is old news. And I'm like, what? It was just this huge issue at the time. And he said, no, what's the real issue is gender ideology and critical theories that go beyond race and go into, quote, gender and this, transgender sort of obsession. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that would never happen in Wisconsin. And I've never even heard of such a thing. And he started to explain it to me. And I kind of, in my head was like, I was nodding my head. I'm like, he's lost a couple of marbles there. Like, that's talk. And then a mom calls me a few months later and tells me she is on a committee that in a school district in Wisconsin that is about to adopt a new sex ed program, comprehensive sexuality education, advocates for youth. And she has got a hold of the materials and she wants to send it to me, and I'll be shocked. So I pulled over in my car, in my minivan, pulled over the side of the road so I could pay attention, pulled it up, and I'm like, oh my God. everything James had talked about, but worse.
Mhm.
And I was like, and that started me down the path of like 6 months of deep dive research into what literally the depths of hell, which is what this curriculum is. It's so abhorrent for children.
So that curriculum, I haven't looked at yours, but I feel actually very, very confident in telling you it's probably the same curriculum that we developed. So we're always the test case here in California. This is why everyone, you should care about what happens in California. Don't abandon us because it comes to you next.
Yes.
So, but we were the test case. So a group called the Human Rights Campaign wrote the sex ed curriculum here in California. I always like to mention that the executive director of the Human Rights Campaign, who is Hillary Clinton's best friend, is serving time in prison for child sex abuse right now.
Who is that?
I can't remember his name. He's doing like 7 to 12.
Wow.
Yeah, he might even be out now because this was a while back that he went in, so he might even be out by now. They wrote this. So the Human Rights Campaign has a very innocuous name, sounds very nice, but it's actually just a hardcore left-wing, radical, transgender, and LGBT
IA2S.
all the other letters, advocacy organization. They write the bill. Every bill that has to do with sexuality or gender in California, it was written by them. All the curriculum bills, it was written by them. Their fingerprints are all over that 2013 curriculum that we were fighting. Their fingerprints are. If you go down all the way down that rabbit hole, you'll end up at the HRC website. So this is a certified strategy that they then successfully infected the California public school system with very quietly. It was really hard for us to be heard. You know, kudos. I gotta say, shout out to my friend Dan Bongino, who had me on his show like every week for like a year to talk about it.
Really?
I mean, he was really a true advocate for it. And the other person I like to mention when I talk about this is Larry O'Connor, WMAL, out of Washington, D.C., and works at Town Hall as well. They were on it, but even those voices weren't big enough to tell people what it is. So Human Rights Campaign then took this strategy and imported it. So that's why people in states like Wisconsin will go, what? This can't possibly be here. We would never vote for this. Well, no, of course you wouldn't. You didn't. The parents of Wisconsin did not. The Human Rights Campaign came in and threw around a lot of money, and then it ended up in the right bills. It just gets, put in there by incrementations. I want to say this is the same thing with the union, the recall strategy for the teachers unions. It's the same thing. It's all the same people. All these strategies, Republicans are so hobbled because we tailor our strategies state by state, and the Democrats have a strategy and then they import it to the other states.
Yep.
That's what you're seeing.
Yep. I'm pulling up right now. So you're like so everyone can see I've talked about this so much, but Human Rights Campaign, they are behind the Advocates for Youth, 3 R's. There's different names. The Advocates for Youth was the most recent, the Future of Sex Ed and the national organization all worked together in 2020 to create a comprehensive sexuality curriculum that Biden, of course, shoved like down the throats of all school districts, and then federal grants made it free. So guess what? They love free, and they love the fact that it's uber woke. And Human Rights Campaign is behind so much of what is going on in your school district. They fund a lot of those rainbow reading rooms, GSA clubs, all of those things. The fingerprints of HRC is on all of it.
And guess who they're partnered with? The Clinton Foundation. Need I say more?
Yep. And so look at mobilizing voters. They mobilize voters and they deliver curriculum into classrooms. So when they tell you, oh, stop being so political, because what we're running for school board isn't political. Education isn't political. That's what they say so that the normies can
Right.
go back to sleep. For
Right.
them, it is so political. Look at what happened.
Only political. They don't care about educating kids. Obviously, let's look at the numbers. We only have to look at the education numbers in literally every state in this country. So clearly they don't care about the kids. Of course, it's only ever political. Conservatives made the mistake of believing that our opponents loved this country and our children as much as we did. And so that you wouldn't bring politics into education. We made a mistake in thinking that nothing is political except politics. As it turns out, everything is political. Everything.
Unfortunately, there are, I would say, at least half of conservatives or Republicans, and I hate always using Republican, Democrat, but we have two-party system. You can vote one of two ways. Of course, there's all these different third parties, but they don't really get much traction. So, but a lot of the county GOPs, they still believe that, oh, these are non-political. We shouldn't be so political. We don't need to be so partisan.
Right. Yeah.
They're becoming fewer and fewer. And in Wisconsin, we've got a lot of great people because there was so much effort put into Wisconsin over these last election cycles because it's a battleground state. We've progressed rapidly. Like, we've got a lot of leadership that know exactly what time it is. In fact, my state chairman, GOP chairman, was a mentor of mine. He was 100%, before he was chairman, supportive of Moms for Liberty and the parental rights movement. And he gave us a whole platform. He recognized right away, this is the future. This is so important. And frankly, this is a way to get people waken them up out of their slumber and get them out to vote, talk about these issues. And so that it's great, but in a lot of areas, they don't want to talk. They still to this day will not talk about these issues. They'd rather talk about the flat tax.
Yeah, I ran into that problem when I was running for school board. It was like I was running because of the DEI and the trans stuff, and the old guard Republicans were like, calm down. Like, it's going to scare people off. It's too political. I had a lot of Republicans working against me, actually, because I have a job in media, in conservative media, and they felt like I was too political, and I am a conservative commentator. So obviously a lot of my commentary is very pointed out there. But I even had some Republicans call me and say, we're just concerned, you being a member of the media, if you get on the school board, what kind of things are going to get out? Like, you're always where. I had somebody follow me. I had a Republican woman her name's Melissa. She's like a mom, who advocates for Republican causes here in our area, follow me to the Moms for Liberty school board training. She followed me there to hunt me down to, I didn't know that's what she was doing, but she cornered me there, asked me like a bunch of questions that I didn't understand were aimed at like digging into who I was and what I was doing. I just thought she was another mom there, and then proceeded to begin this email campaign against me in the Republican Party, saying, I don't think this person is a real conservative. I don't think this person is a real Democrat. She doesn't understand what's going on. She's going to be dangerous. She's too, pointed. She's too, right wing. And I had to, so then what happened was, actually Harmeet Dillon got a hold of it. And then Harmeet Dillon sent out a tweet on my behalf saying this looks a lot like libel, and they backed down. Thankfully, I just know Harmeet through my many years in this industry, and both of us being Californian. But that is what happened. So that happened within my own party. This is an ally, but that was because it happened because there were people going, you're too much. It's too much. You're too much. We can't. The people aren't going to believe this. Tell people that you're going to reinstate the math honors program. That's what they want. And we're not in the math honors program era. It'd be great to get back there. Let's get back there. But in order to get back there, we need some warriors. We need some mama bears. And unfortunately, Republicans in many cases are just as reticent to support the mama bears as the Democrats are.
Yes, I had at a GOP caucus, I had someone who I thought was friendly come up. I went up to them to say to vote because I decided, well, if I want change, I'm going to have to for run for a position in my local GOP. And so I did. And I'm, like I have good relationships. I'm always nice. I'm Wisconsin nice. Okay. Like I'm always trying to be very nice and fighting the good in something. And I'm like, oh, hey, would you vote for me? And it was just like, no, you're a disruptor, Scarlett. You're just a disruptor. You're disrupting everything. And I'm used to getting attacked by Democrats. That's fine. But that I was really like trying not to cry, but frankly, I'm just like, wow. I didn't even know what to say. I'm sorry. I don't know what I've done wrong. I don't think I've done anything untoward. I'm just running. I'm trying to bring change for kids. It's like, no, and I
they
think
don't want change because we're not just, this is no longer a battle of really left versus right. This is a battle of pro-America versus anti-America. And I'm afraid we have anti-Americans even within our own party. Maybe not necessarily because they hate America, but just because they don't really care about Americans. They have their established spot. They're going to be dead in 10 or 20 years anyways. They're not worrying. This is what I love about President Trump. He's a visionary. He thinks to the future. He won't be with us that much longer. He's elderly, but he's thinking about the generations that are going to come in 20, 30, 40 years when he's long gone. And most politicians don't have that ability for whatever reason. They're either too narcissistic or they just don't have the vision. And so
they're afraid to. I think they're afraid to admit where we're at. It's scary. And
no one wants to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for them to admit where we're at, they're going to have to admit that they're wrong.
And that maybe they were leading the party to this point, and then that might mean that, hey, I just didn't. And it's okay to say, I messed up.
That's Wisconsin. What a nice Wisconsin attitude. It's okay to say if you're wrong, but in politics, it's not okay to say if you're wrong. It's a career killer. And for most people, their pride won't allow them. Most people won't. I don't think people understand like a perspective shift. Like it is, that's very rare for most people. Like the reason why we had the Never Trump split in 2016 and again in 2020, we lost a lot of our intellectuals on the right. They moved over to Never Trump. They're still over their Link Project, Bill Kristol.
I used to love Bill Kristol.
I used to love Bill Kristol too, but what we realized is that Bill Kristol didn't love you. He didn't care about us as readers, right? He didn't see us as readers or colleagues or peers. He saw us as minions, people who get our talking points and our thinking points from him. And when he realized we didn't think like him, and not only did we not think like him now about a certain issue, now we're exercising our power and we're way more influential than him, he got mad at us. So he was never for us. It was never about us. He's mad that he's wrong. We made him wrong and we made ourselves right. And he doesn't like that. Look at what they're mad that their strategy and their ideas for winning turned out to be wrong. Look at the church. Look at what happened like 2020. We were in this third way thing where it's like, we shouldn't be too evangelistic. We should be, opening the churches to the center, seeker friendly. The Gospel Coalition, Russell Moore, Tim Keller wing of the Protestant church became really big, and they were winning a lot of people into the church. And then it kind of just stagnated, just flattened out. Charlie Kirk dies, and suddenly we're seeing this huge revival of evangelistic Christianity and Protestant faith and faith values, or just faith values in general. And what was Charlie's message? It wasn't the third way. It wasn't this, let us be seeker friendly and we're going to invite you in, come as you are. It's like, no, young men, stop drinking, get married, have a family, raise kids, vote for Republicans, be conservative. That's the message that's resonating.
Yes.
Because that's what they don't like, is that they're wrong.
Kids, they're hungry for truth and discipline. they are disordered. They're the young brain, like they may repel it. Of course, you raise teenagers, you know that, but deep down, they need it. They want it. They need that kind of structure. They need to be told what's right and wrong. And when you don't, I mean, if you ever watch Jordan Peterson, what you do psychologically when you just sort of let your kids like make grown-up decisions at a very young age and pat yourself on the back that you are such an amazing parent, you're so progressive. No, you have done a disservice to your child, and they will end up resenting you, and they will have anger towards you because you didn't parent them when that was your job. And if you don't do the job of raising your kids and giving them a worldview, someone else will gladly do it for you.
And here we are.
I want to play real quick before, like, I want to play this, what you put on social media, because it's really important. So let's
go to a school board meeting for your kid. Would you go to 10? Would you go to 10 city council meetings for your kids? Would you run for city council for your kids? Would you knock on 40,000 doors for your kids? Would you register 5,000 voters for your kids? Don't tell me you'll die for your kids. That's the easy part. Every parent would. Will you sacrifice your Saturdays to walk for that candidate that you believe in for your kids? Everyone needs to start reframing what it means to serve, what it means to sacrifice, and what it means to die for your children and to die for your country. It means dying to yourself. It means dying to your schedule, dying to your comfort, dying to your need to be well liked and loved, dying to yourself, dying to your own needs. It's a service.
Oh my gosh. I like goosebumps, just goosebumps. I can't tell you how many times in how many different situations where we're asking, hey, can you just come out to support? And like, oh no, I've got this, or, you know, my kid's basketball game or this. Do you know how many basketball games I've had to miss? I try very hard. Do you know how many dinners I haven't been to? Do you know how many vacations had to get rescheduled? How many sacrifices are made by the people that are trying to, they're running, they've committed their life, they're going to run for office, but those that are supporting them, and then just like you said, school board, just changing policy, just bringing awareness. It's so much effort, and we ask for so little, and we just, I feel you on this. I just have to say, I feel you on this.
I think I don't want to be too harsh on people because I get it. I get it. I have had those moments, those times in my life myself, where I'm like, after my school board race, I kind of like just retreated for a year and a half, just just to lick my wounds and recover.
You have to take a break. You do. That you give every, like you abandon your family. It's a season. Like
it's a season, right? It's a season.
I'll do that. Like after the Trump campaign, I took a break. I had to.
You have to, because you give everything. So I get it. And a lot of people feel like a lot of people feel like it's an all or nothing choice too. They're not sure. Like, I'm either campaigning for somebody every single day or running myself or doing nothing. It's another reason why I wrote my book. It's got all kinds of practical advice about what you can do where you are in your time. And that's what that video was about. It's like, you need to reframe what it means to be active and to serve. You don't have to be us, right?
Nope,
it is a type of person. It's a type. We're a type, right? That will go out on a Friday night to a meeting rather than, a concert. It's a type. Fair enough. But you can do something right where you are that won't co-opt your whole life. You have options. There are ways you can support people, support the truth. It's as easy as doing something like putting a sign in your yard for a school board candidate, which is so hugely important. It's stuff like that. Everyone needs to reframe what it means to be a part of the battle, but no one can sit out the battle. Now, this is the point. This is what I was talking about. We are no longer in that position. So fair enough, if you don't want to come up off a few hours a month to go to your school board meeting, maybe you can come up off of a few hours a year to go to a school board meeting. Could you get together with 10 friends and everybody takes a month? Like we have school board meetings once a month. Maybe somebody, you know, or whatever it is, you get 20 friends, you know, however many meetings you have, and divide those up so everyone just has to take one per year. And then you just go back and report to the group, the Facebook page or whatever, what happened there. Like everyone needs to start thinking about what it means to serve, do it differently. You know, I talked to a lady who I use this all the time. She came to buy one of my books at a book event I had. She's a teacher in Seattle public school system, or she was a librarian. And she said, you know, I can't take any books out of the library because of our laws, but I can put any books in there that I want. So what I do is I go and I buy conservative books. I just put them in the library, and then I have a discussion on your free period, like on lunch break. I hold a discussion group for any kids that might want to come in and talk about one of these books, and we pick a book every month. So I only have like 2 or 3 at most students that do it, but that is her thing, where she is doing right where she is. Is she changing the world? I don't know. No, maybe. Is she going to change the White House? No. Is she going to change midterm elections? No. But she's doing what she can right where she is, and that's enough. Everyone needs to pick something, get in a lane, get in the game, get in where you fit in, because we are all, this is war, and you're either a soldier or you're a victim. You pick one.
I think you're exactly right. And what I'm saying and what you're saying, you definitely don't have to be us. I think I wouldn't ever ask someone to do that much work. If you feel called to it, that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. But there are so many other things you can do. I love that. And I love what you said. I love bringing books, you know, getting books, putting a different content, putting something wholesome and good and decent. And that's the kind of thing that you can do with Moms for Liberty. You don't have to be in front of a camera. You don't have to be the person running for office even, but you could, what do you do well? Could you bake cookies and add that as part of our fundraiser? We're going to sell some, like a lot of times there's bake sales in order just to raise money for causes in their local community. Can you knock doors? That's great. If you're uncomfortable knocking doors, could you help with the maps? Could you help with spreadsheets? Can you help be a watchdog? Could you go to the board docs and check it out? Could you monitor what's happening in the state house?
A lot of you moms out there, you're crafters. You love to craft. You have button making machines. You have ribbon making machine. You can tell that I'm not very domestic because I don't know what it is.
Not at all, but yes, there are people.
But I have friends who have all that stuff. And you know what? As you said, like the stuff for when you're running for office, that stuff gets expensive. You have a very limited budget. Could you sit in your home after the kids go to bed and make buttons for your candidate? You know, make 100 buttons. Could you do that? Like, think in those terms, everyone. It doesn't have to be, you don't even have to be the one who's like, if you don't want to go. And again, you observe a vote count for one day a year or once every 4 years, you could do that, but you don't even have to do that. If you have stuff that you're doing in your own home already, that you already enjoy doing, could you put out flyers for a candidate at your next dinner party or at your next event? Just stick them by the front door or put them in your kids' like goodie bag. You know, everyone think outside the box. Think outside the box.
And I think if you're a leader, don't be a martyr. Like, get people, don't, oh, it's all me. Oh, woe is me.
No.
The number one way that I find to get people that I know agree with me, they want to be active, their kids are old enough where they can get involved. And this is, if you've got babies, you're okay. Like, I'm not bugging. I had 5 kids. You got little ones, and there's still something you want to be involved. There's definitely things that you can do. And we try to do things where bring your kids anywhere. Like, we're going to go testify in Madison. You want to come, bring your babies. People do bring them if you want to. But if you've got really young kids, you're okay. You're okay.
You get a hall pass.
You could now Turning Point, and I know Moms for Liberty. We developed we had a phone system where we had moms at night when their kids went to sleep, a half hour, here's a list, make some calls. Hey, did you vote? Did you get your ballot? You have your ballot? Did you turn it in? Okay, great, thanks. Do it from your home. No one knows who you are. There's a way that no one sees your number. You can do this and you feel like, oh, I got something done and I didn't sacrifice the time away from my family. Number one, so when kids are older and I see that there's moms that want to get more involved, I say, let's go to the State House. Let's go to Madison. And we're planning a big legislative day this year in February in 2026. When they see it demystifies things, that it's not as scary, but they also see 13 hours of the Human Rights Campaign and the ACLU and the NEA and the local Wisconsin teachers unions, when they bring the cars and the buses around and drop off all their protesters and they testify and they see the insanity of what we're up against and they hear and they see with their own eyes and their own ears, they see it. It cannot be denied anymore because when these people testify, they will say all the quiet things out loud, the craziest things that you could possibly imagine. I mean, I've seen women that have medical degrees say that, yes, you can have an abortion after the baby's born, which is murder. Okay. So you will see some very crazy things and you'll never be the same. So if you're a leader and you want others to join you, you've got to start to show them what's happening so they can experience for themselves and then show you proactively doing something about it. And like, there is a path, there's a way that we could actually make change and then make it fun too. Have a wine night, have a go for coffee, talk about, I wanted to bring up Hallmark movies. If you have to do something, find something that is also fun and so that you can decompress a little while and just be. You'll probably find yourself still talking about.
I have a great surprise for you. I have a Hallmark podcast.
You do?
I do. My friend and I, Amelia, we love Hallmark movies. We love cheesy Christmas movies like TV.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Great
American Family, all that. We love it. So we have our own podcast. It's called Journey to Christmas Land. It's with Kira and Amelia. It's on Substack, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. We just searched Journey to Christmas Land. It actually was a previous podcast called A Very Merry Podcast, but it was so close to another successful podcast in that space, we had to change the name. And so we just rebranded. But yeah, we talk about Christmas movies. We review the movies. We talk about all of our favorite things, all the funny things, all the cheesy things. And it's a nice break from the because we're both in the political space for our jobs. So it's a nice break from all that. We have so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to
today.
As soon as November 1st, my husband makes me wait. Hallmark that's all it is. It's Hallmark.
Oh, girl, we have it on all year, and we do the podcast all year too because it's always we call the Christmas universe is Christmas Land. So it's always Christmas in Christmas Land. We do Christmas in July. We were just talking about the Hallmark cruise. There's a Hallmark cruise.
Really?
There is a Hallmark cruise is going on right now, so we missed this one, but we were looking at it for next year. They have a Hallmark cruise. They have a Hallmark house, a house tour in Connecticut where it's like a trail of houses that they used.
I want to go. I want to go.
We're planning. We're going in February. We're gonna film an episode there. Actually.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I have a Hallmark. I have my Hallmark watching wine glass. My Hallmark watching. I have my blanket.
Girl, I will. You know what? I'm gonna send you a subscription so that you can watch our Hallmark podcasts and stay in touch on the newsletter because you will love this podcast. We have so much fun.
I'm so excited for the third 3 men and a.
We just did that one. We just did it last week. We called our episode "Roy is good with his hands." I think you're gonna like it.
I haven't watched it yet. I think I DVR'd it and I was
not disappointed.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Do you watch Finding Mr. Christmas? So my daughters and I are just starting Finding Mr. Christmas.
Oh, that's so great. Oh my gosh. Well, we definitely got to make a time for you to come on to our podcast in the future. Maybe we'll do some chatting about Hallmark movies. And
Oh my
we
gosh.
actually moved, we expanded. We used to do only Hallmark, but Hallmark's getting a little woke lately. So we've been expanding our offerings because there's
Candace Cameron has and she does some movie like
she
a lot.
moved over to Great American Family, and they partner with Pure Flix, and they do a good, that's more of like the old school Hallmark content. New Hallmark's getting a little racier, but we still love it. And I love cheesy Christmas movies. If you listen to my political commentary, you might not get that about me.
I know. I'm glad that you bring that up because that's me too. Like I love Hallmark. I love Chris. I love to talk about pop culture. I loved movies, and now I find myself just watching old movies. Every once in a while, there's something that, and I have older kids, so I can take them to certain things, and
yeah,
it's a little woke. It's like, oh my gosh, they'll even say, oh mom, I know that's so woke. Like they didn't even need to have that in there. When your kids are younger, I get you have to be a lot more selective. But I love Hallmark. I love Christmas. It's my happy time. I hate when I don't like to get too. I even tried December, balance the politics with I've got to tune it out. I'm watching my Hallmark now. It's a happy place. I'm not gonna.
That's why we love it. That's why, I mean, there's an element of poking fun at the cheesiness and the scripts and stuff. There's all of that. But underneath it all is just a great love and admiration for these movies, because there's always a happy ending in Christmas Land. There's never any hard feelings. You always get the ending you want. People get what they want.
Yeah,
they love each other and they're happy. Like, my gosh, it's just nice to tune into something where everybody gets what they want and everybody ends on a happy note.
Yes. And I know every once in a while I'll still cry all the time. The kids come down, I'm crying, and they're like, "Oh."
Sometimes too. So Three Wiser Men and a Boy. I legit had a teary moment.
Yes.
Legitimately.
Yeah, legit. I will
you're gonna like that movie.
Oh, I'm excited.
I need you to watch it and then hit me up on X and let me know what you think. And I'll send you the link to our podcast. You can also listen to that later. But I want to know what you think. I think you're gonna love it. It was really good.
Yes, I know. I was setting my DVR for all the new ones.
Yeah.
I went to the Hallmark store and I had the list. But then, and so we have the subscription, so we'll watch. But sometimes I just want to watch it live. And I walk in the door. I was at this conference in Chicago. As soon as I walk in, I'm like, turn on Hallmark. Mom's home.
I love it.
No sad things, all happy. And everyone laughs. It's like, oh my gosh, it's all Hallmark.
Well, I love it. Yeah. Hey, well, I'm down for a good Hallmark movie anytime.
Oh yeah. It's good. It's nice to be happy. But this is exactly what I talk about, that I think sometimes people think if they're going to get involved politically, that's all it can get all consuming, but we talk about other things. So in your group, just make sure that you are prioritizing having some fun. I know Moms for Liberty, we have our Joyful Warrior Conference every year. And then we have town halls and different things. And if you have a chapter or you find one, they have meetings once a month. And I'm actually going to speak at one next week. Next week, I will be speaking at one, and it'll be really fun. It'll be at a restaurant, and it's like fellowship. You talk about the hard things, then you have some fellowship and good times too. Kind of that's what, when I was raised in church, it was like you went, you had the service, you were fed, all of that, but there was always fellowship. There was always community. And so you have to develop community. And that will sustain, that will keep the movement alive if people feel like these are my besties now, my friends, and you got to kind of keep that spirit, I think.
Yes, I do too as well. I have to say that I do have a hard out right now.
Okay.
All right. I'm actually past it.
Thank you for staying on and talking. Once we started talking Hallmark, then it was like, oh.
Girl, I know. Well, I had to stop myself. Don't get me started. Just go listen to the podcast. So I'll talk all day long about Hallmark. Maybe I'll just come back and we'll just talk about Hallmark.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there was a bunch of questions to get to. So I definitely want you to come back and
Let's do it.
we'll talk some more.
I would love
And
to.
I'll tell you my thoughts about Hallmark then too. But Kira,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to, when you leave, I'm going to tell people where they can follow you. And is there what are your closing thoughts? What's your advice? And how can people know more about you?
Well, my advice is that now is the time for boldness and courage. I think we've got about 12 months to make a real difference in this country and make it notable enough that Americans feel motivated to go to the ballot box and continue with the Trump agenda. And it really is time to double down. I think it's not the season for peace, unfortunately. That being said, follow me everywhere. You can follow me on X at Real Kira Davis or Instagram at Just Kira Davis, JUST Kira Davis. You can find my podcast, Just Kira Davis, at Substack, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Buy my book, Drawing Lines, Why Conservatives Must Begin to Battle Fiercely in the Arena of Ideas. I think the best places, though, for you to hear more from me and know what I'm doing are YouTube, which is Just Kira Davis, and Substack, Just Kira Davis. All the stuff goes to all those respective places, and you can keep up with my columns. I've often got bylines in Daily Mail, New York Post, do a lot of work for the New York Post, so keep an eye open for me there. And I will send you, I'll send you the links for everything too when we get off.
Okay, thank you. And your column, Unsolicited Advice, is really funny too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love giving advice. I'm actually I'm going to record some more today because I got a juicy column that came across my desk.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, and we
Thank
definitely want to have you back. I think this is going to be really popular. So
I had such a good time. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Bye. That was such a great talk with Kira. So real quick, I am going to pull up a few things. As we discussed, she has a Substack where you can find unsolicited advice for people who didn't ask for any. It's really funny and good. It's good advice. It's funny and it's conservative. So I highly recommend it. We also discussed, I found like her Hallmark movie obsession that mirrors mine. Wow. So she has a podcast that is all about Christmas and Christmas movies. So you want something different, you want something fun, you want to take a break from the heaviness of politics, go to this YouTube channel, Kira Davis right here. And I know I'm planning on watching this. Now, then there's a Substack, Just Kira Davis episodes. Really good topics here. No kings, no sense. She has a straightforward style, 15-year veteran in media, mom, ran for school board, knows what she's talking about. She's fighting to save America. I highly suggest that you tune into her. Also, her book, Drawing Lines, I am ordering it right now. I think it's great to hear she has some very common sense solutions, why conservatives must begin to battle fiercely in the arena of ideas. This is someone who's been fighting gender ideology since before we had any idea what it was. She's got some great advice. And then don't forget to follow her on X. And I'm going to pull that up really fast. Her handle is simply at Kira Davis. I'm going to show you this really fast so we can. Here we go. At Kira Davis. Or at Real Kira Davis, sorry. At Real Kira Davis. You can see right here. So make sure you follow her on X, at Real Kira Davis. That's where I found her. That's where I saw that it was under 60 seconds and I was hooked. I loved what she had to say. I loved the passion with which she had to say it. thank you so much, Kira. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I look forward to having you again. We just started talking. Seriously, I had all of these questions and I didn't get to almost any of them because it was such a great conversation. So I look forward to having another one. Don't forget to learn more about Moms for Liberty at momsforliberty.org. You heard Kira. She has attended Moms for Liberty training events. She wanted to run for school board and she contacted and went to Moms for Liberty. And that's what we're known for. And that's what we're good at. Our YouTube channel at Moms for Liberty. And that's where you can find this episode. It will be on there within just 48 hours. So you can watch it again, share it, like it, and subscribe, please. So I hope this was enjoyable for you. It was a blast for me. And I look forward to our next conversations. My goodness, I have so many lined up. I'm like just struggling to schedule them all. And I'm going to talk to some people, like Jennifer Say. I'm going to be interviewing her next. But we're also going to talk to some folks you might not have heard of, and they are doing the Lord's work. They are fighting on the front lines. I want to amplify the voices of our mama bears and papa bears and our warriors. And I will continue to do that as Moms for Liberty is always trying to amplify the voices of not just our 130,000 members across this country, but our allies, our friends, that fight side by side with us. We want to amplify them. We are in it for the right reasons. This battle is going to require unity. It's going to require unity among conservatives. Yeah. So Kira has some food for thought for myself. Definitely, like she's been at this longer than I have. And so she's got some valuable insight, and I thank her for continuing to stay in this fight, even though sometimes you have to take a break after you do something big like run for school board. She comes back and she gives it 1,000%. And so grateful for you, Kira. All right, everyone, that's it for now.
For Liberty is standing up for parental rights across America. But now we're under attack.
Moms for Liberty made news this week by being labeled as extremist and anti-government.
Radical groups like the SPLC are trying to silence us. But we're not in this fight alone. Countless leaders from across the country have stood up to defend us and our mission.
The Southern Poverty Law Center decided to target Moms for Liberty. Let me say, Moms for Liberty, they are phenomenal women. They are moms who are standing up for their kids.
They have fought for all of our children, and because they are effective, the Southern Poverty Law Center is trying to hurt them.
That's a deliberate attempt to destroy someone's life.
Moms for Liberty does amazing work. The parents movement in America is extremely important.
We are parents. We are parents that care about our kids. We are parents that want transparency in the classroom.
Moms for Liberty, you exhibit something that actually the CEOs of the biggest companies in this country do not, which is courage.
Thank you for standing with us to protect our children's future.